Okay, here we are at the bungalow. Just had my new standing seam metal roof installed. I put up Iron Ridge solar racking. I have 6 370 watt LG panels. And I'm using Enphase IQ6 280 watt inverters. Climb up on the roof in a little bit and show you how all that stuff goes on. Okay, up on the roof we've got the aggregator box, which, because this is a microinverter system, we have an aggregator instead of a combiner box. The microinverters output 240 volts DC, hence the red and the black and the green. There's the first two inverters. They are serialized, and I have marked down their serial numbers should I use the Enphase contraption for measuring their output. I don't think I will. This is what the inverters look like. I've got them numbered. Here's 5 and 6. There's a pair of DC plugs on the top, a pair of AC plugs on the bottom, and that harness just ties them all together. The Iron Ridge brackets attached to S5U clips that go on the standing seam. At the aggregator, I've got the mechanical bond that goes from the equipment ground to the first rail and then down to the other rail. I'll tie it to the edge of the panel on its way down, and I use these splice sections that are approved for grounding. The inverters get bolted with these proprietary bolts that slip into that 3/8 or so inch track. Everything just gets held on in the same fashion. Same thing goes with these Iron Ridge brackets. That's the close-up on the S5U. Here we are back up on the roof again, standing on the ladder. Wanted to show you these things here. They're called big boys. I guess they go $1,000 each. It holds the scaffolding plank that you stand on. The scaffolding plank is put it on the other side by another big boy. These things were indispensable. Making my way up the ladder. Here I am on the roof looking at the array. The panels are held in with these 1/4 inch bolts that go into, you probably can't see it in there, they go into the rail. There's 2 on each with a sandwich. 1, 2. And down the end they've got these panel simulators, so you don't have to put a panel on the outside. I got to run the wire down the back of the house from the aggregator in. We had to move the stink pipe. Of course, that was in the way and it was broken anyhow. We'll put in a new stink pipe. Took me about 4.5 hours, from 6 to about 10:30 to install all 6 panels. On the back of the house, I gotta run a pipe down from the combiner box, well, aggregator as it's called, down the house and into the building here. I'm gonna do that right now. Inside the house, this is the easiest part. I've got a coil of number 12 2 Romex tucked into the ceiling. And I'm going to punch a hole, I guess, somewhere around here. Right out to the disconnect switch before it enters the house. And this wire goes back to the electric panel. I did right on it. PV solar feed, 1,680 watts total, and then I installed it this month. Comes back to the panel. I marked it solar feed again, and once in the panel you need to specify which breaker is the solar PV, and I put it in the bottom of the panel because that's where you should backfeed with all solar, so it balances out all the loads. I like the Enphase stuff. It worked out pretty good. Outside they need to switch me over to a net meter. I guess that'll happen later on this month. Okay, last video here at the bungalow. One thing I probably should mention is I'm not doing this video for do-it-yourselfers and homeowners. I am a licensed master electrician in the state of Massachusetts. And if you ask me questions in the comments that make me think that you're not a licensed electrician or somehow qualified, I may call you out or not answer you. I am doing this for my students who are in training and maybe even licensed, depending upon their status. So anyway, here's the last section, which is my AC disconnect, which I guess would be a DC disconnect if it was a system that had an inverter, a string system, I guess is what I'm saying. But seeing as though this is a microinverter installation where all the inverters are up under the panels, up under the roof, the AC disconnect is required to shut off the power if the inverters fail and are backfeeding the grid. So here's the AC disconnect. I've got my expansion fitting there about 5 feet down from where it comes off the roof, and inside here in the disconnect I've got my AC from central main power feeding the line side of the disconnect. That's because when you shut it off at the main panel, this is your line. These are your lines. The load side goes up to the inverters. And of course the grounding bus over here. Once I activate this and turn on this switch and the switch that's in the main panel, I will be backfeeding the grid. I can't do that until I've got my net meter installed. My interconnection agreement from Central Main Power is in the works right now. I got an approval. I just need to sign the papers and send them back to them. And then I'll get my meter. And I think they said July 28th. But that is the system. I got to put the cover in place. No live parts exposed. And I hope you learned something. A gratuitous shot with all of the ladders and scaffolding removed. The roofer just left. And he said the one thing he might want to do next time, or maybe he'll do again on this later, is to put what he calls a snow bar on top of the panels to keep snow from sliding under them. Well, had I known about that, I guess I might have done that. But I guess it can be done later. It's no big deal. He doesn't have any up here anyways, so it means another trip one way or another. I don't know what that'll cost, or whether or not it's something I can do on my own, or who knows. If I even want to, maybe it won't bother. But that's what it looks like. All in all, I'm pretty pleased with the outcome. I'm going to add on a porch here in the backyard. Screen porch. It's going to be about 20 foot by 12 foot. Maybe I'll put some more panels on that. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We're going to have another standing seam metal roof on that. I'll knock down that white add-on. It looks like crap. So anyway, there's the bungalow tour. Let me know if you think I did something wrong or could have done something better. I'm open to suggestion. See ya.